15th in offensive DVOA, and then 15th in EPA per play. And so I think those stats and those numbers show you how bad the offense has truly been. And I think that we would all come away from these first two losses feeling like the Chiefs didn't really play up to their standard, and they still had a chance to win.
Yeah, they did. And the Eagles game was close, but did it ever really feel like they were in control of that game? That they ever really had a shot? I mean, after Travis Kelce's drop and the interception, it was all Eagles from there on out. But the Eagles controlled that game, even when the Chiefs were up 10-7, I think, at one point. You just never felt good about it. But yeah, it's clear that there is something wrong with the offense right now. Not having your top two targets certainly is detrimental to the team, but it just looks abysmal out there.
Well, part of the issue is the running game. We're going to talk about that later on in the show, but I do feel very confident in the Patrick Mahomes that we've seen 2 weeks in. I think that he has been one of the only offensive players that has showed up, and you know that because he's led the team in rushing the past 2 weeks, and that's kind of a nightmare situation for this offense. But I feel like the reason why week 2 was such a positive, even though they lost the game, is because the defense showed up. In fact, Caden even mentioned it on the podcast, KC Sports Report, which you guys can find on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify, is that the Chiefs' defense is still championship caliber. And I think that is a massive thing going on into this season where the offenses you play just get better and better and better.
Yeah. I mean, we got the Ravens coming up next week, so they're always an offensive stalwart. We've seen what their running game has been over the first couple weeks. It's not going to get any easier. I mean, and then after that, I think we have the Lions coming up shortly after that. So it's a tough stretch, and we're going to see exactly what the Chiefs are made up of coming up soon.
When that first week against the Chargers in Brazil, I don't know if it was the travel. I'm not sure if it was the 3.5-hour bus ride they had to take from the hotel to the stadium. Things didn't look right. Things didn't click. And it was a big reason why, the Chiefs kind of came out flat and not really with any energy. And so even though they lost last week, I think that we would all agree that they looked better on the field. I actually think they controlled the game. I think they held the Eagles' offense to 216 yards of total offense, and the last time they held an opposing team's offense to that few yards, it was the Raiders on Christmas Day, and before that, I think it dates back to like 2009, so the Chiefs' defense looks like they've come to play, and they're going to get better as the year goes on, but right now it's kind of an offensive issue. And
I think that kind of speaks to how bad the offense has been, that, it's been that long since we've held somebody, to that many yards, and it didn't even result in a win. So, I think that speaks to how bad or how rough it's been offensively.
But doesn't that almost give you more optimism that, once the offense, if the offense figures it out, because it's seemingly been 3 years of just, poor offensive performances, but does that give you any confidence that once they figure it out, you've already got the defense clicking?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And right now, honestly, I think we're just kind of in a holding pattern circling above the airport, just waiting for number 4 to get back, right? Yeah. It's 6 weeks, but you can't survive these 6 weeks with this offense. You can with this defense. Now, the pass rush, I think, is a bigger issue that is kind of being overshadowed by the offense right now. But overall, the defense has just been much better. And, guys that I expected jumps from have kind of made those jumps. Brian Cook being one of them. I think he's played great so far. He looks like a much better version of 2024 Brian Cook, who I think just kind of had an average season. But now, he's the guy back there, manning that secondary. And, coming into the year, I thought the secondary was going to be, one of the it was on my watch list of, it was high on my concern of worries. But right now, it's kind of the opposite. The worry is the defense, or the pass rush, excuse me. The secondary looks solid. So, yes, you hold an offense like the Eagles with an A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, 200-something yards. Yeah, you're feeling good about that.
And the fact that they didn't end up winning that game, again, it was a 14-point swing when Travis Kelce dropped that football and it resulted in the interception, but I kind of liken it to what the Chiefs did last year in winning so many one-score games. You're bound to kind of come back to earth a little bit. The question is, can you shore up some of those mistakes? And once you do, how are you going to respond? And I think that the Chiefs have done this long enough and they've been, successful long enough to correct these things over the course of the season. I don't expect Travis Kelce to continue, costing this team on a weekly basis as the season goes on. It's just not historically what we've seen. And, Patrick Mahomes was asked about, the team at 0-2. It's a new spot they've never been in. He's never lost, 3 consecutive games until this season. This is what Patrick Mahomes had to say about how he's handling the 0-2 start.
It's just the people that we have in the locker room. Like, it's, even though we've never been 0-2, we've had stretches where we've lost big games kind of consecutively, and guys have responded. It's about the character of the guys in the locker room more than it is the play on the football field. And I think that we have the guys that are going to continue to work. They're not going to let this kind of push them down, and they're going to use it, if anything, as motivation to be even better. And so I think that gives me the most faith. And then the coaches that we have, they'll continue to push to be even better. And so we'll have a great week of practice this week, and knowing we're going to play our best football to win a game against a good football team in the Giants.
Well, I'll tell you what, a couple position groups that have to perform better is the trenches, the offensive and defensive line. And one of the issues that we saw a lot last year was the offensive line not giving Patrick Mahomes the proper amount of time to find his targets downfield. I think they've been better, but they weren't so good in run blocking on Sunday against the Eagles. And so, Patrick Mahomes was asked about his confidence level in the offensive line, and this is what he said.
I have confidence in it. I just got to continue to show that on game days. I think that's probably the biggest thing I saw is that there was times where I left the pocket early this last week, even on some of the runs. And I'm like, if I could just sit in that pocket and trust those guys, they're going to protect. I mean, that's a good Eagles defensive line, obviously, and we're going up against another great challenge. But the more I trust him, I think the better the offense will be. And so I'm going to continue to do that and try to hang in that pocket and make throws down the field.
I want to ask you guys, and we'll start with Kyle, what is your confidence level in the Chiefs' offensive line so far?
If I had to put it on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'm going 7.5, 8. They're still keeping him mostly upright, but yeah, that clip, he all but confirms kind of what I saw, is that he was just sitting in the pocket and just, all right, I'm going to run this thing. I'm not even going to look at the routes being run because those guys probably aren't going to get open. I'm just going to run this thing, go to that first down marker. It's an interesting thing. You have invested so much in that offensive line, and right now it still doesn't seem. I know he says he trusts them, but it still doesn't seem like there's trust in there. He looks a little bit skittish. It just the downfield throws. He do not look confident, I would say.
Yeah, I think I'm at about a 6. I'd say. Obviously, we know Juwan Taylor hasn't been impressive so far. You look at Kingsley Suamataia, he's slowly progressing, but there's still going to be, those hiccups here and there. Against the Chargers, there was one specific play that I remember. He just got absolutely blew up right off the line.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even close by Khalil Mack, who's a veteran pass rusher. He's been, top rusher in this league for years now. But like I said, there's going to be hiccups there. And then, honestly, I know a lot of Chiefs fans aren't going to like to hear this, but Trey Smith has not been impressive to me over the first 2 weeks, and I think
not yet, at least.
I think you just got to be honest about it, especially a guy that you've invested that much money in. He's now the top paid guard in the NFL, so we're going to be expecting elite effort from him every single week. But yeah, I'd say I'm at about a 6. I think you made a good point with the trust, Kyle, especially on the deep the deep throws. That miss to Tyquan Thornton, I mean,
Which one?
There's
a couple.
Well, the one, the
the
really
wide
bad
open
one, yeah,
one.
the
Yeah,
wide
yeah,
open
yeah,
one.
yeah.
It was, I immediately I said I think that was due to trust. I mean, how often do you really see Pat just miss guys that bad? I mean, he's had inaccurate throws just like any quarterback has, but that one was really bad, and I think it was just due to the lack of trust. I think he maybe felt the pressure more than it was really there, and just rushed it and didn't take his time on it.
Well, I'll tell you what, that deep ball inaccuracy has gone back to last year. There were multiple times where I'm like, wow, he just missed him. And I wonder if maybe part of that is the timing that he has with Xavier Worthy. And Tyquan Thornton's fast. He's probably not Xavier Worthy fast. And so I don't know if maybe that has a part to do with it. I think the bigger overarching point is that even though the offensive line has been better this season and he hasn't gotten hit as much, that pocket has been collapsing very quickly. And even though he hasn't been getting hit as much, with the pocket collapsing, he doesn't have that much room to throw. And you're kind of seeing him very quickly, notice the pocket, feel it, and then immediately bail and take off and run. And that's one of the reasons that he has led the Chiefs in rushing the past 2 weeks. And I think that is the biggest concern because you've got a running back room with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Brashard Smith, and so far this season, they've just been non-factors. And, Patrick Mahomes was asked about the running game because I think that's been one of the biggest issues that the fans have noticed. And this is what he said.
I think it's something you continue to trust in. I mean, that's part of football is being able to trust in the run game and whenever they are in the light boxes, run the football and force them to come down to throw some of the shots down the field. I think that will come together even more and more as the O-line continues to gel and the running backs can gel with the O-line as well. And so more than just pass protection, I mean, when you have two new offensive linemen joining in, it's about building that chemistry. And so I think as the season goes on, they'll continue to get better at that.
So when asked about the running game, the offensive line gets brought up. It's interesting. I think that, when you look at the Chiefs' inability to run the football, there's two things you can blame. You can blame maybe Pacheco not having that same burst of explosiveness, not that, vintage Pacheco that we saw, his rookie season, even dating back to 2023. He broke his leg last year. He came back, wasn't the same player, and he kind of hasn't been the same player since. But I think it's interesting to mention that he mentions the offensive line and maybe some of the, the failed blocking attempts by a Trey Smith or a Creed Humphrey up front. And so I definitely think that they're both to blame. But how do you guys feel about the Chiefs running game?
Yeah, let me give you some numbers here real quick. Isaiah Pacheco, 15 carries on the year, 47 yards. The program had Sam McDowell in on Tuesday, and McDowell said all 15 of those carries came against light boxes.
Oh, man.
Which is just even worse news. Defenses don't even have to stack the box to contain your running game. We already know they can get to the quarterback without 4. So, yeah, I'm glad Patrick Mahomes brought up the O-line. He's never going to call anybody out, but and I'm not going to speculate that he's doing that here, but it does start with the O-line. Now, I know that there are some clips that have surfaced on social media of Isaiah Pacheco just running straight into the backs of his own guys, just kind of missing the holes or running laterally when he should be moving vertically. What we're down to here, I'm not going to call it an effort problem yet. I'm just going to say there's a personnel issue here, and you don't have the talent in that running back room that you thought you did. Pacheco doesn't really run angry. Have you seen that? The foot stomping?
Lots of movement, but it doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
It doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. And real quick, I'll bring up that 4th and 1 in the Chiefs' own territory when they started the second half. They handed it off to Kareem Hunt, which has worked already this year. I know against the Chargers that worked, but he doesn't have burst anymore. He's a big guy, and he can just kind of have guys bounce off of him still. Big physical guy for sure. He doesn't have that burst anymore. In that 4th and 1 play, it was quite evident.
When it's not even just that he doesn't have the burst anymore, it's just what was the play call? Where is the offensive creativity on 4th down in your own territory? Opposing defenses are starting to get hip to what Andy Reid has done. The first 15, the first scripted set of plays, it's not good. They don't score. And I think a lot of the issues with the running game and the offense, I mean, Andy Reid always takes the blame when he goes to the media. I'm starting to think that maybe we should be blaming Andy Reid a little bit for some of the issues. But Caden, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that you point out the slow starts. The slow starts have really killed us, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but I saw a tweet today. It talked about the first drive, I believe, first 15 plays or so. Chiefs are one of the worst offenses in the NFL, ranked towards the bottom, and then second, third, and fourth quarter, they're one of the best. So can't really put a finger on what exactly is the issue and why that first 15 or that Andy's script isn't really working out to come. Maybe it's the defensive game plan. Maybe they like you said, maybe teams have really just figured out the Chiefs. But I wouldn't assume that quite yet. I think we still got some time, but it's interesting, man. I'm confused, honestly, to say the least.
Back-to-back weeks. It has taken the Chiefs offense 20-plus minutes of game time to score points in the first 2 opening weeks. Yeah, there's something wrong with the scripts, and Andy Reid, known as the most creative play caller in NFL history. That's arguable, but he's up there, right? It's not working out this year. And I don't want to put all the blame on not having Worthy and Rice there, because we've seen this offense get things done without Rashee Rice before.
Exactly.
For whatever reason this year, and I'm still trying to find the source, is it the running back room? Is it the O-line? Is it Patrick Mahomes? I don't think so. But it's one of those sources. But eventually, if your offense is not succeeding, all eyes look towards the offensive play caller, and we know that's Andy Reid.
Why are guys not getting open? Why are you not putting your players in a better position to be successful? It seems like you know that your players are limited in certain capacities, but you're not scheming them open to actually make a difference and go out there and make a play. And I mean, this team has gone to back-to-back Super Bowls, and they won one of them, but it almost seems like they've done that in spite of the offense. And so we've got a ton more to get to in this show. We're going to take our first commercial break. You were listening to The Night Shift on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to The Night Shift on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm Michael Darcy, joined by Caden Sproul and Kyle Collier. In this second segment, I want to talk a little bit about the Chiefs and Giants matchup on Sunday Night Football. Should be a good one. Maybe a must-win game for the Chiefs in Week 3. I think we can all agree on that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
And, there's some Curtis Seabold actually had these, some stats about 0-2 playoff teams who, 0-2 teams who go on to the playoffs, right? It's an odd thing, and the Chiefs can do it. I will say this. The last two teams to go to the Super Bowl, then start the next season 0-2, they both made it back. But 0-3, you're probably forfeiting the AFC West, right? Because if the Chargers win again, they got Denver coming up. Already, they'll have basically a 3-game lead on you. So, yes, I'll call it a must-win.
Well, there's some people out there that think the Chiefs kind of already forfeited the AFC West. I'm not going to go that far because there's still 15 games to play, but the Chiefs can't keep digging themselves into a hole. And I don't think that they will because they played well against the Eagles on Sunday, but it didn't result in a win. I think that, going into New York, the Giants are a bad football team. I understand they're an NFL opponent, and you got to take them seriously. And they do some things very well. They can get after the quarterback. They've got a fierce front four that features, Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, new draft pick Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau. They can really make Mahomes' life a living hell if they're not, careful up front. But outside of that, I mean, their back end of their defense is bad.
Yeah, they allow the most rushing yards per game, which is absolutely the matchup I cannot wait to watch.
Yeah, that's scary.
177.5 yards per game. That's insane.
What's the over-under on Chiefs rushing yards in this game?
Oh, that's a great question.
Because can I already take the under?
Yeah, I think even more. You're looking at the bigger picture. You look at the conference as well. You know, if you're fighting for that 1 seed, man, it gets scary. You know, I don't see the Bills or Ravens losing 4 or 5 games. I mean,
definitely not the Bills.
Yeah,
that
and with their schedule, that
so
AFC
easy.
East is so bad, man. So, it's definitely a must-win when you're looking at the big picture and conference-wise. And then, division as well is obviously important. We've seen the Chiefs have won that, 9 years in a row, or 8, somewhere around there, years in a row. So, yeah.
And I'll add this. Furthermore, it's a must-win. You can't lose to Russell Wilson on national television.
No, you can't. And you have before. You have before.
Yes, you have.
I'm a little surprised that they did put this game on Sunday Night Football. I think that every year there's always that one stinker on primetime.
Right.
This, I want to say, might be it, but the way the Chiefs have played for the past couple years against teams that they're by far superior than, they don't necessarily blow them out of the water.
Nope.
In fact, I'm looking at their spread right now. The Chiefs are favored to win this game. I think it's a 5.5-point Chiefs favorite in this game. That's not a lot of points considering you are a team that should be in Super Bowl contention.
Yeah, I think this game reminds me a lot of, I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, the game at the Meadowlands against the Jets.
Oh, yeah.
When Zach Wilson started. It reminds me of that game a lot. It's a team we should have blown out.
Yeah.
A game should have never been close, but it actually came down to the wire. I think Zach Wilson, of course, had like his best game of the year, and everybody was like, oh, is he back? This has a big feel to that game. I feel it.
And I actually think that still remains as Zach Wilson's career best night.
Is that what kept him in the league?
I'd say
Possibly,
so.
yeah.
I'd say so.
But I'm looking at it right now. So the spread actually did change. The Chiefs are opening at 6.5-point favorites. Looking at the ESPN matchup predictor, they give the Chiefs a 65.3% chance of beating the Giants. I think that we'd all like that number to be higher. But I also think that, this is the battle between two 0-2 football teams.
Yeah.
And you saw the Giants last week against the Cowboys put up a lot of points. Chiefs haven't done that. And so, what is your concern level that maybe we see, a legacy game from Russell Wilson, who has beaten the Chiefs before, and he's got some good weapons on that offense. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. They've got Cam Scatabo in the backfield, Tyrone Tracy, wide receivers, Malik Neighbors, Jalen Hyatt, and Darius Slayton. He's got some weapons. He loves to throw the deep ball. What's your level of concern at going into this game?
That's a great question. Now, Neighbors definitely concerns me. That guy is going to be a star for a long time in the league. Doesn't matter who his quarterback is. That guy can produce. But everybody else, not. I really don't feel that much fear going up against the Giants offense. Now, I know Russell Wilson had 450 and 3 tutties.
He cooked.
Against
Russ
the Cowboys.
cooked.
Now the Cowboys defense is kind of ass. They were missing.
Kinda?
They were missing. They were missing Deron Bland, and I think Trevon Diggs is still on a snap count. So, I'm not too worried about the Chiefs defense in this game. But if they can't get to the quarterback again, if it doesn't improve at least, then I'm worried. If you look at pass rush win rate, pass rush success rate, Charles Omenihu and George Karlaftis on the edge, they're both near the bottom. That has to improve, especially with a guy like Karlaftis, who you just gave $23 million to per year. It's got to improve this week for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit concerned about the offensive line play. When we talked a little bit about the weapons that they have on the defensive line for the Giants, I mean, when you compare it to the Eagles' defensive line, obviously they don't have the big threat. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is a great player in his own right, but he's not quite Jalen Carter, I don't believe. I believe Jalen Carter is going to be a top D tackle in this league.
Yeah.
He already is.
Yeah, the top.
When he can keep his spit in his mouth, he's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, but I think that they present a little bit more of a problem as far as the edge rushers than the Eagles do.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be one thing to watch would be how Josh Simmons performs. Kyle, you talked about it. He performed great last week.
0 pressures.
Right. So I think he'll be fine, but it'll be just a little bit more of a challenge than what the Eagles present. Jawan Taylor, obviously, we know he hasn't been great so far, so I think it'll be interesting to see those edge rushers and how our tackles hold up specifically.
I mean, that's the big question. And I think so far they've actually held up quite well because even the Chargers have some pass rushers. Obviously, the Eagles have just a crazy rotation that features Joshua Uche, who should be in Kansas City. But another story of the
Josh
Chiefs.
Uche, the Eagles' highest graded defender the first 2 weeks.
Multiple weeks in a row.
Who has performed well everywhere except Kansas City for some reason.
That Josh Uche?
Yeah, that Josh Uche. So, yeah, that one stings, especially when you look at the list and you see George Karlaftis and Charles Omenihu down at the bottom of pass rush win rate. But, I look at this game and I see, I don't want to say a trap game because how could it be a trap game when you're 0-2? You should go in there with every reason to win. The Chiefs are a better football team, but you're also going on the road, prime time, and if you think that Russell Wilson and, his friends, I guess, aren't going to be that much of a challenge, you're going to lose this game because they have enough talent on offense to put up points. But I think, again, we're all very confident the Chiefs' defense will rise to the challenge. Even if they don't end up getting to Russell Wilson, their defense can disguise enough stuff on the back end to confuse him, and he might just make some mistakes. I mean, that's what he's done over the course of his career. The question is, can the Chiefs' offense score against a bad defense? And I'd like to sit here and tell you yes, but what have we seen over the last 2.5 years that would lead you to think, oh, yeah, they're going to take advantage of a bad team on primetime?
Yeah, it does scare me. My biggest fear Sunday night is that we're going to be sitting here in the third quarter, like 2 minutes left in the third, and it's going to be 13-7
just
Giants.
sweating.
Yes, and we'll be sweating our asses off just watching this game. Like, what the hell has happened to the offense? Back-to-back weeks, I feel like they've talked about getting to a hot start, and obviously, Caden and I broke it down. The script has sucked. Get to it. Score on your first drive. Announce yourself that, hey, we're back, right? And another part of this game that terrifies me a little bit, and terrified's the wrong word, but Brian Daboll's coaching for his job at this point. It's Hail Mary time if you're Brian Daboll and you still want to be the head coach of New York. Beating the Chiefs, that could buy you a little bit of extra time. Now, I think Daboll's already kind of run out of time. But, yeah, the Giants want this win just as much as you do. They're on scholarship too,
Yeah, and guess what? I'm looking back. The Chiefs played the Giants. The last time they played the Giants was November 1st, 2021. The Chiefs won the game to move to 4-4 on the year. Do you want to guess the final score of this game at Arrowhead Stadium? Keep in mind, Kadarius Toney was still playing with the Giants.
Oh. Give me the over-under on the points.
40. It was not a pretty football game. But when has it been a pretty football game?
What was it, like 20-13?
It was 20-17.
Oh, nice.
I don't remember that game too well. I feel like the Chiefs must have. Okay. Actually, not only did the Chiefs only win by 3, they went in to the fourth quarter sweating with a lead.
Oh, yes. Now I'm starting to remember this game now. Yes.
So anyone that thinks that the Chiefs are going to march into New York and just stick it to the Giants, go buy a lottery ticket with that kind of confidence. I don't see a team that's going to go in there and just run away with the win. Even if you just look at the betting lines.
Yeah, there's no evidence of it yet. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They're favored by 6.5. Would you take those points?
Not right now, no.
I wouldn't.
No. We've never been good at covering the spreads, as we talked about.
Especially over the last 3 years. They've been horrible at covering the spread.
I don't know what it is, but we're not a team that's good at covering those spreads.
And Darcy, you kind of talked about, is this a trap game or not? It kind of is, but obviously you want to avoid going 0-3, but you have Baltimore the week after.
Yeah.
Well, not only do you have Baltimore, you go home. If the Chiefs don't win this week, if you're 0-3 staring at Baltimore, I mean, I already think the Chiefs are kind of staring down the barrel of 1-3, and that is a very scary place to be. Right. And your schedule doesn't get any easier. That's the bigger concern that, you play the Giants in week 3. You started Chargers, Eagles, then you play Ravens, Lions, Commanders. You play the Bills later on in the year, the Jags. I guess the Jags are the Jags, but
mixed in right there. Yeah, it goes Ravens, Jags, Lions, Raiders, Commanders, Bills, Broncos.
doesn't get any easier.
That is tough. Yes.
And so
you're
where those wins come from?
Yeah, I know. You're looking at you start 0-3, you start thinking about a 9-8 season, 8-9 season.
You know, I'll go as far to say if you go 0-3, you got to stop thinking about the division. You got to start thinking about the wild card because, you know, the Chargers opened up their season going Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos.
Yeah.
There's a very real possibility they win on Sunday. They're 3-0, and if you're 0-3, that's a big mountain to climb. And again, if there's any team that can do it, it would be the Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs. But the overarching concern, this offense has been bad for 3 years. It hasn't gotten really better. In fact, if we want to go back over the stats that Price Carter put out over X, right now they are 24th in points, 18th in yards. They've gotten worse. They were 15th last year, total offense, 15th year before. Right now, they're towards the bottom of the league. And so there are some big concerns, about this offense going into New York. We've got a ton more to get to in this last segment. You guys are listening to The Night Shift on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Welcome back to The Night Shift on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, joined by Caden Sproul and Kyle Collier. We're going to get into this Sunday night football preview. Chiefs-Giants should be a good one. Chiefs are favored by 6.5 points. We talked about it a little bit in the last segment. Will they cover the spread? Probably not. It's going to probably be one of those games that you're sweating out to the very end. So I think we went over what scares us the most about the Giants. That defensive line is fierce. And I think one of the biggest things that we didn't talk about, but I think it's critical going into this game, in the first 2 weeks of the season, the only way the Chiefs' defensive line has been able to get pressure is when Steve Spagnuolo blitzes. Going up against an offensive line in the Giants that has never been really good and hasn't been great this year, the expectation should be to get to Russell Wilson, whether you have to disguise a blitz or not, because if you let him sit back in the pocket and let Neighbors run down the field and get open against our defensive backs, he's going to let it rip. He's going to throw that deep ball, and if he connects, could be a long night.
Yeah, I've got an interesting stat here. This is from Jesse Newell on Twitter. The Chiefs have gone cover 0, all-out blitz. That's all-out blitz, no safety help, 14 times through 2 games this season. That's more cover 0 snaps than the Bills, Packers, Saints, Eagles, 49ers, Texans, Falcons, Lions, Rams, Chargers, Bengals, and Panthers combined. So that if that doesn't tell you how they feel about the pass rush to this point, then I'm not quite sure what does.
It's bad. The pass rush is bad.
Yeah. Right now, you're leading sacker Drew Tranquil with 2 in week 1, and then Karlaftis has 1 where he just ran, I think it was Herbert, out of bounds, which counts as a sack because he was behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah. And then the other one is Omar Norman Lott, who we saw spear Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
But where's Chris Jones? Where's George Karlaftis? They're not even getting their pressure numbers are all down from last year.
Well, how much of that do you think's effort? I'm not trying to call out their effort, but it almost seems like if you're not even winning, are you even trying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw Chris Jones' pressure rate throughout most of his career has been up around 17 or 18. This year, take a guess where he's at.
Below 10?
He's at 10%.
Wow.
10%, man. So that's a big drop-off.
Well, not only is it a big drop-off, but in order for this defensive line to work, you need Chris Jones to eat. You need him to get to the quarterback and apply pressure, or at least take some of those offensive linemen on a double or a triple team, because then George Karlaftis can get home. And I'll tell you what, George Karlaftis got paid because Chris Jones is so fantastic. So, going into this game, I think the energy has to be high for both sides of the football, but defensively, your mindset has to be, we got to hold this team to under 20 because we don't know what we're going to get from the offense. You're out your top 2 wide receivers. Your tight end has been inconsistent so far this year. You can't run the football. Defensively, you got to go out there and hold this, Russell Wilson-led offense to sub 20.
Yeah, and that's way too tough of a challenge to put on your defense. It's going to be more of the same from last year, unless some miracle change happens. But I'm not sure where that comes from. Yeah. All of a sudden, Isaiah Pacheco grows like another eye and sees more holes. He doesn't look good to start the year.
Do you remember when Jameis Winston needed like LASIK surgery so he could actually see his targets? Maybe we invest in some LASIK surgery for Isaiah Pacheco.
Maybe that is the problem. I'm not sure, but you asked about our confidence in the defense earlier in the show. If I were to do it a 1 to 10 scale on the offense, I'm at a 3, a 4 right now. It's Tyquan Thornton looks good running down the field.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
I got nothing else.
You talked about Brian Daboll fighting for his job. Russell Wilson's also fighting for his as well.
Yeah.
He's obviously got Jackson Dart right behind him. They were impressive last week against the Cowboys, who I got a little money glitch for you guys. Take the over on the Cowboys games. Just go into FanDuel, put whatever you want on the over for the Cowboys games. That's gonna be a money glitch for the rest of the year. So yeah, they have a really bad defense, and so he's gonna be fighting for his job, and we know Russ has been pesky over the years. So yeah,
all offense, no defense.
Yeah.
Man, and you mentioned it where your confidence level is in the Chiefs offense. You said a 3 or 4. I'm going to give it a 2. And it's because outside of Patrick Mahomes, where is that production coming from? I mean, I get Tyquan Thornton in the fourth quarter. He showed up, but Mahomes struggled to find him early on in the game. Travis Kelce was good before the costly mistake against the Eagles. And, I'm looking like, who's going to step up? Is it going to be Hollywood Brown? Is it going to be Isaiah Pacheco? You mentioned the Giants' inability to stop the run. This almost has to be a prove-it game for Isaiah Pacheco. If he can't go for at least, I don't want to go for a total yard amount, but if he's not rushing for like 4 or 5 yards a carry, the dude's washed.
Yeah, right now, him and Hunt both under 4. I'd like to see more Brashard Smith. Use him. He's got burst, he's got explosion, and I don't see any of that, especially from Kareem Hunt, but I don't see it from Isaiah Pacheco, not just yet. It seems that injury, that broken fibula, I think it was last year, seems like it's just zapped his juice. Like he just don't got it anymore, I guess.
When he tries stuff that maybe 3 years ago he could have done, but he's trying to get outside the tackles. He's not fast enough to get outside the tackles.
Right.
You are going to get stopped every single time and tackled in the backfield.
Yeah.
And what about Elijah Mitchell? I mean, this is a guy that the Chiefs. It was an interesting point. I didn't really think about this until now. The Chiefs signed Elijah Mitchell an hour into the tampering period of free agency.
They gave him guaranteed money.
Not the regular the tampering period of free agency money.
Yeah.
They gave him guaranteed money as if he was going to be a vital part of this offense, and he's been a no-show to this point. So I don't know if that's another case of Veach and Co being kind of stubborn and not letting the guy go because of the guaranteed money, which is understandable in some situations, but. Yeah, why not give him a chance? He's getting paid. Throw him out there, man. It can't hurt any more than what we got going.
Yeah, the Giants are 30. I mentioned the rush yard stats, last in the league, the 177 per game. Now, obviously, overtime, that'll even out, but yards per carry, they're also last at 5.92.
Great. Fantastic.
Time to get after it. And you said it. Prove it. Yeah. Time to go out and prove it.
If not now, when?
Right.
And I know a lot of people, you know what, let's dive into this topic because this is something that I've seen a lot on social media. I don't know how many times I have to scream into a microphone that the offensive struggles is not a product of Matt Nagy, but rather Andy Reid. Yeah. How many times have we seen a talking head, a fan, criticize Matt Nagy for the Chiefs' offensive struggles when he maybe does as much on game day as we do?
Oh, Twitter hates him.
And it's stupid hatred because he doesn't do anything. He might go through the install early on in the week and kind of help Reid put the plays in, but he's not calling the shots. If you've got a problem with the Chiefs offense, it's Andy Reid's fault. It starts with Andy Reid, and that's why, when the Chiefs offense is humming, oh, Andy Reid's a genius. Patrick Mahomes is great. When the offense is bad, this Matt Nagy guy, he's horrible.
Yeah, and where's Eric Bieniemy?
Yeah, where's Eric Bieniemy?
You'll get those. Please,
almost out of the league.
No more of that.
That's where Eric Bieniemy is.
And I think that's probably the biggest contributing factor to everybody hating Nagy so much is just because this offense did perform under Eric Bieniemy. They were a top-performing team in the league, and ever since he's been gone, like you said, the juice has kind of been zapped. It's like the aura isn't there anymore, and nobody can really put a finger on what exactly it is.
Well, I don't want to criticize Andy Reid too much, but how much of the offensive struggles has less to do with the questionable protection and the injuries along the offense? How much do you think it has to do with maybe a lack of creativity in the offensive game plan?
That 100%. You don't really see the receivers just lining up in trips, and that's one of Rashee Rice's classic plays. Line up in trips. The other guys, they go down the field. He breaks off, does a slant over the middle, first down, right? Mm-hmm. Now, what could give me a little bit more hope this week is Xavier Worthy. If he returns, I'm wearing a harness, I know, but if he returns, there's some extra speed there, some extra juice. Jalen Royals, another one. I think that they both practiced today in limited capacity, but if they come back, you can get a little bit, like I said, the personnel is just not there right now. So I feel like Andy Reid is in a tough spot where possibly he wants to get creative but can't. Just doesn't have the guys to do it. That could be it. But again, I'm just kind of shooting in the dark here.
Well, I think those are all fair points. Like, the issue is it's been like this for the past 3 years.
That's true.
Even when guys have been healthy, you haven't really seen them seize the moment, actually punch another team in the mouth. They've been predictable. They've been stale. And moving forward, if they don't fix that, the league has figured them out right now. How are you going to adjust? And, the NFL is a league of adjustment, a league of, copying what other teams are doing. I watch the Chargers. I watch the Broncos. I see what they're doing offensively, even like the Ravens and the Bills. Why can't we do that?
Shit, the Colts they scored on every drive this
the
year
Colts have
so
not
far.
punted. That's
Yeah,
a good call.
they've scored on every drive. So it's like when you see shit like that, it's just it's hard to to not get frustrated about what the Chiefs have going on.
When I think that, if you just look at it, the Chiefs have some questionable guys on IR, or not on IR, that are dealing with injury. Xavier Worthy, questionable with that shoulder. Jalen Royals is questionable. He's coming back with that knee tendonitis. Christian Fulton is still dealing with injuries, got an ankle injury. And then Mike Dana has a quadriceps injury. All are questionable. According to ESPN, they're all estimated to be back for this Sunday's game. I think so far Christian Fulton's been a massive bust. But, looking at the Giants' injury report, they got, Anthony Johnson Jr., their safety. He's on the PUP list. He's not going to play. Chris Board, their linebacker, he's on IR. Andrew Thomas, their tackle, is questionable with a foot injury. He might play, though, on Sunday. Rakeem Nunez-Roches, he's questionable with the foot as well.
Former Chief.
I know. And then Demetrius Flanagan-Fowles. He's questionable with the calf. So both teams are dealing with injuries. Not sure which guys are going to come back, and even when they do, how effective they'll be. But you got to feel pretty optimistic that, once you get Xavier Worthy back, even if you just tell him, hey, X, just run in a straight line, just go downfield.
You'll be a decoy this week. Yeah.
And get other guys open.
Yeah, so that was actually going to be one of my questions to you, Michael, was do you risk it? Do you bring back Xavier Worthy, feature him in the offense, or bring him back and have him just be a decoy and see how long it takes the Giants to figure it out? Or do you sit him another week? Because right now, frankly, I lean toward sit him another week.
I think if the Chiefs were 1-1 or 2-0,
yes,
then
agree.
You could sit him.
That's a good call.
I think this is dire. This situation, you are one loss away. I don't want to say from your season being over, because plenty of teams have, been able to kind of bounce back a little bit, but you want to look at the numbers of teams that started off 0-3 and made the playoffs, it's probably not very high. So I think this is a must-win game, and if Xavier Worthy can play and he's not in excruciating pain, he needs to be out there. I don't care if you target him, but he has to play.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that. Even if it's just a speed decoy, opens up lanes for Hollywood, for Tyquan Thornton. I'm okay, fine. I'm all right with it then.
Or even just convince the Giants coaching staff that he is going to play and then pull him last minute.
Yeah. It's a little gamesmanship. I love that. Yeah, try it. Because right now, everything you've tried so far has
Hasn't
not worked. Yeah. So yeah, try it.
Yeah, I like that for sure. I mean, number one, I would like to see him use him in the screen game more than anything, just to keep him from having to face all
touch anybody.
Those linebackers are probably going to be headhunting him over the middle. So we've seen them get him involved in the screen game, and then the RPOs as well, kind of those bubble screens, I guess you could say. I'd like to see him get involved that way. But yeah, just don't let him get in harm's way, man. We can't deal with any more of that.
Yeah, which is why I was so scared about him coming back. Is you lose him again, it's probably going to be for an even longer period of time, possibly the season.
See, I think the issue is that Worthy's shoulder is kind of a ticking time bomb. I think it's just a matter of when, not if. And if he's not ready to come back this week, then he probably wouldn't be ready to come back 2 weeks from now, just because,
right.
I think he tore his labrum and or he dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah.
And, he was able to, they popped it back in on the sideline in Brazil. And you could even see the trainer mouth like, this isn't good. But the fact that he is back at practice and he's wearing that shoulder brace, I think they're leaning towards him playing on Sunday. And so I think that even if it's just a massive disguise for the Giants to prep for Xavier Worthy, I think the mentality in that building, if it's not already, should be all hands on deck. We need everybody possible. If you're breathing, you're living. If you can run, you're playing.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you, because